Union Management are an agency founded in 2015. They provide their actors with a bespoke client-to-client approach.
They encourage their partners to treat themselves like a business and have strong connections with the industry in America. We spoke to head agent Danny Steele, who is also an actor. Hello, Danny. How are you this evening?
I'm good, Matt. I'm very well. Thank you for inviting me on.
Not a problem. Thank you so much for giving up your time this evening and imparting onto us all the knowledge that you have gained with your time in the industry. So we've been really looking forward to talking to
Sure.
you.
Thank you. Yes.
Perfect.
I'm looking forward to it too.
Oh, brilliant. That's fantastic. Well, can we start out really by just you telling us a bit about your professional career to date and what led you into becoming an agent as well as an actor?
It's really funny. In my early 20s, I trained as a nurse, and then I left the profession, and I worked part-time in a commercial agency, and I kind of enjoyed that. And I lived in this country, but also then I moved over to the US for a little bit and just did a lot of traveling and worked at another commercial agency in the US. And then when I came back, I thought, oh, I quite like this. I quite like working with a bunch of people. So then I started working at Independent Talent and a few other larger agencies as well. And then I went into voiceover and also casting. I was a casting assistant with certain casting directors, and then I set up the company in 2014 under a different name, under the name of Comedy Actors London, and then about 6 months later, then I changed it to Union Management, and we've been flying ever since. I took a year out sabbatical to retrain as an actor, and yeah, I just really enjoy where I am right now because I use all the areas of the industry: casting, production, agenting. Union is a kind of, I describe it as a small bespoke agency. We don't have that many partners on our books, but actually, so we kind of operate a little bit more like a manager. We have a good manager's mindset. So our agency operates in a kind of long term for the actor, basically. So yeah.
Amazing. How do you balance your two career paths? Do you ever see yourself fully committing to one, or do you just flip both sides of the coin?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I flip both sides of the coin. In fact, I also have other career paths too. So
All right.
I just have very good staff, and certainly since we started, and certainly in the last couple of years, Union's really kind of the reputation has really increased. We have a lot of contacts now in the US that I picked up when I was there, and also in other countries too. So I feel very fortunate to be able to do this, to be able to work as an actor, and to be able to run an agency, and to be able to work as a coach and open up a school, etc., etc. We're doing all these things, and ultimately, it's for the benefit of all actors, because we love working with actors.
Yeah, that really does come across on definitely on your social media channels, in particular, that you very much stress that you don't have to be represented by yourself to actually have some of the benefits from your agency, which I think it's a lovely attitude.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I know a lot of agents, perhaps the more slightly old school ones, and that's fine. I get it, but I always feel that there's that famous Bruce Springsteen saying, isn't there? Nobody wins unless everybody wins, and it's and we work in an industry where scarcity is promoted. We think that we have to get that agent, we think we have to get that job, and all of this type of stuff. But actually, there is no scarcity, because there is so much work. Even now in times of COVID and all of this sorts of lockdown, all this, there is so much work, and there is no competition at all, because everyone is so unique. And you're absolutely right. When you ask that question, Matt, we like to help actors who aren't signed with an agency, and also actors that aren't signed generally at all, but either through our self-tape workshops, our agent one-to-ones, if we can offer advice and tips on, headshots or show reels, for example. Recently, we've started Headshot Day, which is the 31st of January. Yes, 31st of January,
Fantastic.
where we retweet people's headshots that they tweet in, etc., etc. So yeah,
I love
Awesome,
that.
Danny. I was going to ask.
Mm,
Sorry, Matt. Go on.
No, after you, Christian. You go ahead.
I was going to just ask quickly, as you were in America, because I was thinking about going there one
sure,
day,
sure.
but to be an actor over there, don't you need, I know you need a green card, but do you need other things to get insurance? Otherwise, you just can't
So here's
work
the
out.
thing: you don't actually need a green card. A green card is valid for 10 years, as you probably know.
Mm,
But you are open to more projects if you have an O1, but that doesn't prevent you from getting any American projects, even if you don't have one. We've had some partners that have been booked on work in America, and they've supplied them with a work visa for the, just for the job. For example, like a
yeah.
2-month work visa, things like that, and then they come back after 2 months. Um, I, it's it helps productions if you have got your papers, if you have got your O1 or your green card, but it's not a huge necessity, because actually, if production like you and they think great, fantastic, then actually a 2-month visa isn't that much paperwork to do.
Okay.
Yeah, we're doing a, a slight plug. We're doing an online actors retreat the end of February, which is 5 days. And one of those sessions is with my own attorney, Gil Brighto. And Gil works specifically with actors in Europe and the UK to advise actors on productions in the US and exactly what they'll need. So that'd be a really good session if you're interested.
Absolutely. I'm
That
I'm
would
already
be.
booked on to actually one of the agent one-to-ones on that one, so I
Oh,
definitely
have
looked that
you?
up
Oh,
when I was
great. Which one?
when I was looking up questions. Oh, at RPM from
RPM.
memory.
Yeah, that's
That's it.
my commercial agent. Jennifer's
Yeah,
lovely. Jennifer's so
yeah.
lovely.
I'm really looking forward to that one because I looked on the website to obviously write the specific questions we'd love to ask you, and then I just got drawn
Yeah.
in by that, and then 30 minutes later I'm booked in, I'm ready to go. It was really great.
Thanks,
Um,
Matt.
no worries. Well, union management, as you sort of briefly touched on the
Mm.
formation of it and how you got there, but what was the process like of setting up your own agency? Because it's very different working as
Ah,
an agent's
yeah.
assistant and climbing a ladder at an existing agency. What's it like setting up a brand new agency?
Um, at the time, I was working part time in a call center, and just for a month, and I just got friends, and call centers are all full of actors. I just got friends from the call center. I said, "Oh, are you rep? Do you want to join the agency?" They're like, "Yeah, that's fine." In fact, three of our partners are actually still with us from those days back in 2014,
It's fantastic.
which is great. Um, and in between calls, for somebody ringing up wanting to subscribe to some certain magazine or whatever it was, I'd get calls from casting. So I'd have to kind of be quite surreptitious, because call centers can be notoriously, no phones, no, 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 none of this, none of this. So I used to put on a Scouse accent, and I used to kind of make my the calls to the call center in the Scouse accent. And then actually, if my work phone rang, I kind of have to switch my accent to this accent I'm using now, which is my normal accent. So there was a degree of kind of juggling for about 3 or 4 weeks, which was quite fun, until I got sacked for using being on my phone too much.
Oh.
Brilliant.
But that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I get in trouble. Well, I had a job just doing some sort of gardening and stuff in between acting
Right.
jobs, and yeah, I got in trouble for the phone, Instagram. You say you want to work with actors as individuals, not one size fits all.
Yes.
How do you achieve that?
It's a good
Is it?
question. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? I know, because I know you work very closely with your actors and
Mm.
other agencies, not to
And
badmouth
I'd like to
anyone in
know actually
particular.
what you meant by the one size fits all approach that because you reference it on your website.
Yeah. So a lot of agencies operate a business model where they are um, money orientated, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm saying that's not our approach. For example, they may operate a business model where the casting comes in, they may submit, let's just say they submit 10 actors who have a rough age range to the age range that is being cast, and they'll just throw anything at a wall to make it stick. And that's the kind of business model of, we just want to get anyone in. It doesn't matter who, because we don't really care about you. We just want the money. And I'm not saying that's a right thing or wrong thing, but we kind of a little bit more personal, where we'll kind of go, okay, and then we'll call, for example, casting, or we'll call production, and we'll say, right, okay, what can we kind of have a conversation about this, and da 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 da. And because we have a good relationship with a lot of casting offices, we're in a position to be able to do that. And again, as I say earlier on, I feel very fortunate to be able to do that. And if someone is absolutely bang on for the brief, we'll just stay on the phone, and we'll, instead of just submitting through Spotlight, which of course we do as well, I'll ring up, for example, Kate Bone, or Carmel, or Dan Hubbard, or someone, and I'll say, have a look at so and so, and we'll stay on the phone, and then they'll go, oh yeah, okay, yeah, great, let's get this person in, which is great. So yeah.
So like cutting out the middleman, so to speak,
Um,
sort of going
it's
direct to
being it's
source.
it's being ninja. It's being a little bit
Yeah.
ninja with our partners, and actually kind of going, because I feel that certainly I've witnessed this myself in the last 3 or 4 years. There has been so many more agencies just popping up, certainly in London, and casting can only go through so many agencies. You only have so much time to get to go through. So if you have a good relationship with a casting office, I mean, I spoke to Lucinda Syson's office today for a role in a big production coming up, so if you have a good relationship, that kind of takes a shortcut. And actually, casting offices and showrunners and producers, they're always looking to make their job a little bit easier. I'm not saying that they won't look for actors that they don't normally look for. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that in an industry where, for example, time may be a little bit more tight, a little bit of a shortcut is appreciated.
Yeah, I like that, because we're often, I can't remember where I found the sort of quote, or at least the methodology approach to auditions from, but it's almost like as an actor you go in trying to be the answer to their problem, and you sort of
Right.
mentioned that there, that's what you're saying, you're trying to make it easier for them, and of course that's
Yeah.
going to be a more attractive proposition than maybe having to trawl through 600 submissions. Maybe I really like that approach.
Yeah, and in actual fact, 600 submissions, that's very good. Usually it's like 2,000 plus.
Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying those figures to kind of depress actors. I'm saying those figures to kind of think that, to say that, what, as actors, we have to be a little bit smarter. And then, sometimes actors email and say, oh, I'll be right for this role or this role. We just have to be a little bit smart with it. Do I have a relationship with that office? Do I, can I realistically see myself in this role? And of course, there are a ton of actors. So, yeah, but there's no competition. There is no actual direct competition with us. We just think there is.
Yeah, just go in and be the best version of yourself, and that's all you
Yeah,
can really do.
absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
You just mentioned about emails. What makes a good email to an agent, and then on the flip side, what's a bad one?
Okay. I'll start with the bad one, Christian, if
Yeah,
that's okay.
quotes are welcome.
Yeah.
I took a picture of one. I sent it to. I can't find it anyway. It was literally one that doesn't personalize stuff. So it's like, hello, union management. That's a bad start.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes we get ones that are just CC'd into all other agencies.
Oh,
And it's like, okay. Yeah, it really happens. We get
I just
about 55 applications a day on average. January to March, we get a lot more people. People tend to use the new year as a kind of time to leave their agent, and or perhaps to look for an agent. So things like that. Don't say things like, I've been, acting is my dream and I've been acting since I was 5, or, it's my dream to appear on the West End stage, or, I really want to act with blah, blah, some household name. Again, it comes back to being smart. So actually research us. Our names are, they're on our social media, they're on our website. The 2 main agents anyway, our assistants, I don't think our assistants are on there, but certainly the main agents are. And then just kind of do research into the agency and into the kind of work that they do. We specialize in film and TV, so not all actors want to do film and TV. That's totally fine. But that being said, we do get applications in that say, I'm a triple threat singer, dancer, and actor, and I have a lot of musical theatre credits, and I really want to do musicals. We're not that kind of agency, for example. But yeah, I mean, in terms of a good email, personalize it. If you have a recommendation, in other words, if one of our partners has recommended you, that's great, because we work in an industry of relationships. We think about it, like we're all actors, casting directors, showrunners, producers, directors. It's all about relationships. So if we can actually nurture those relationships, that's good. We have emails of actors that first contacted us at the start of last year, and they're just tweaking a few things on their CV. They're just getting some extra footage. They're just doing a few things. So we don't necessarily work with people from the get-go, but we are in conversation with actors just to kind of go, oh, you know what, I think you should do this first, then come back to us in a few months' time. And I'm aware that not all agents do this too. But it's a web of trust. And it is a web of trust. And as I said, it comes down to relationships.
Yeah, I'd love to sort of ask this next question sort of as a double header, really.
Sure.
Is there what you could describe as a union management actor, or at least what factors lead you into offering or not offering representation to someone? And then on that note, I was looking at, I think when you go to an agent's website, it's always good to see, the submission page, because every agent's website guides an actor. We know why you're here. This is what we
Yeah.
need for you to submit to us. And on your website, you don't allow actors to submit unless they've got a show reel. Why is
Yes.
that so important to you? Obviously, because I presume it's because you're TV and film agency books. And then what, in your opinion, makes a good show reel? I know that's about 5 questions, but I thought, why not? Let's go for it.
No, it's
Poor
fine.
Danny.
If I forget, just bring me back.
We'll do.
So,
We'll do.
so in reverse, what makes a good show reel? Right now, obviously, we've had COVID, so we are. It doesn't really matter if you don't have a show reel, but as long as you have self tapes, something shot at home, something, a scene shot at home, or something that you've done, or blah blah blah, etc., etc., that's totally fine. Casting are accepting those. That is happening. What is what makes a good show reel? I'd say variety. 2 scenes is enough. 1 minute, that's it, no longer. And I teach this in our self-tape workshops, but the key to a show reel is the smash and grab time. So this is like, the first 15-20 seconds. This is the version of you that is closest to who you are. And it's not necessarily shouting and screaming, or it's not necessarily speaking in another language, if you can speak another language, or whatever. It's just you. because that is the widest choice of widest choice for casting. Then after that one scene, then you can afford to kind of go out a little bit. And as I said, 2 scenes are enough. That's okay. That's what makes a good show reel. And no montages, no quick edits. We know you can open a door, or whatever. Sorry, what was the next question?
I knew I'd bombard you to have it.
Out of the 10.
It's my mistake.
It's
I
been a long
yap and I
day.
yap and I yap. I apologise.
Fine.
I wondered if there was what you could describe as a union management actor.
Yeah. Oh, good question. Okay. I'm very much into. Okay, I'm going to kind of go around the houses with this answer, but then it will kind of all draw back. So I'm very much into personal development. I'm very much into inner growth and actually always coming back to myself. I teach meditation. I I read a lot of books. One of my ideal dinner party guests are people like Brené Brown and Oprah Winfrey and Eckhart Tolle. So that philosophy drip feeds into the agency because it has to. I don't compartmentalize my life. It has to, and it's a very heart-centered approach to the agency. I'm also a coach as well, and with the school that me and my colleague are opening up in London and Los Angeles, that will be a core component of the agency. So is there a typical union client? Someone that a lot of my partners, because we call them partners, it's the same thing. A lot of our partners are kind of interested, have a vested interest in that side of things. They're not necessarily kind of like all the way, going all the way, but actually there is something there. And certainly we manage and look after a lot of what you would call character actors, or what was traditionally called character actors, which of course now could be leading actors, but we have a lot of characters on our books as well. I think I answered that.
Yeah, definitely. No, you definitely did. I was wrapped in the answer. I don't want to interrupt you and just talk again.
It's
But I'll hand over the next question to Christian. I think everyone's heard enough of my voice for at least 2 minutes, so I'll sit back.
I know I have. No, I'm joking.
Love it.
Can you tell us more about your online actors retreat? I know
Yes.
you did 2 in 2020.
Yes.
I know you're doing another one this year as well. But what is it specifically, and how did you set it up?
Yeah, brilliant question, Christian. So basically, if anyone is interested in connecting with casting agents, managers, industry professionals like, as I said earlier on, Gil, my attorney, or accent coach Chris Lang, or Kim Jackson, or Bonnie Gillespie, this is like a really inexpensive way to do it. Otherwise, you'd have to go to LA. And as no one can fly right now. That's fine. And basically, it is exactly that. It's connections. It's relationships. Matthew, you said that you were doing the RPM, which is wonderful because Jennifer is so lovely and Jennifer remembers everyone. So you do the session with Jennifer. We send you the sides. It's a live thing, and then you might email her, when we can all fly again. You might email and say, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to be in LA in 2 months' time. Can we have a coffee?" Yeah, we can have a coffee, and that's all it is. And it's really, really simple. So if you were interested in connecting more with these people in the US, I think we have 6 or 7 casting directors. And the other, as I said, other industry professionals. The website is onlineactorsretreat.co.uk. had to remember that name. And there are bundle tickets you can buy if you wanted to do more than one. It kind of works out a bit more cost effective, or you can just do the one-offs. That's totally fine too. But it's something that, we have a lot of contacts in both New York and LA, and it kind of it's a natural extension of where we're going as well. So yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'd love to quickly talk about, you said earlier that we're in an industry of relationships,
Yeah.
and you speak about developing those, and promotion and promoting yourself and networking seems to be one of your strengths at Union. How do you go about doing that as an agency? And what would you recommend actors do, or maybe other agents? Because you mentioned all these agents that are starting up. But how do you develop these contacts? How do you go about it? Because it's, so many times we just get told, email people, and it seems so vague. It seems like, the email will get, even if you're personable, as you say, you get 50 submissions a day on a quiet day. So
Yeah.
most of the time you're sort of lost in the ether. How do you develop these reliable connections with people?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So there are a lot of online workshops, online stuff. I know a lot of casting directors do them. Sophie Holland, for example, Andy Pryor, um, Suzanne Smith. I know that the what do you call it? Surviving, is it called Surviving Actors?
I'm not sure.
I know they do one as well. That hold these workshops, and also Mixing Networks do like an online thing as well, and they're great for meeting people. But you're absolutely right. Sometimes emails can be quite general and can be like, But again, we have to think a little bit more ninja-like. So quite hesitant if I say this. I've always been resistant to the idea of actors getting 400 casting director emails and going, right, I've sent out 400 casting director emails, right, in one bump. And then to me, that's a little bit of a waste of energy, because not all casting directors will be looking for you. And you have to be a little bit more ninja about the people that you want to approach, the kind of projects that certain people are casting, whether it's certain shows or certain productions. That there's going to be other seasons of certain shows, and kind of go, oh, okay, great, I love this show. Maybe I could shoot something that could fit well in with that particular show's brand. And it does come down to a little bit of branding. So yeah.
I like that, because I always look at the audition story of Tom Holland when he auditioned in America for Spider-Man. That one of the ways he got the job is because he trained trained heavily in musical theatre, doing Billy Elliot and stuff like that, and gymnastics. That he started the camera audition by front flipping into the frame. That's do you know what I mean? That's the way to be ninja and be specific to the thing. Because I've always struggled sometimes with, yes, trying to work out what types of things people cast. Yes, looking at theatres and their new seasons and thinking, okay, maybe this play, maybe this play, maybe this. But sometimes when you don't get the breakdowns and it's an untitled project, and then you don't know when they're going to be casting it, it's so difficult sometimes to get it. Like, I know a lot of it is just right place, right time. You happen to send that email at the right time, but it's trying to find the detail that will lead you to making that work, as you say, at those specific.
You know what? I'm so pleased you said that, and that's a really good anecdote about Tom Holland as well, who was, by the way, was great at Spider-Man.
He's brilliant.
But the late Steve Jobs had a saying that you can't connect the dots going forward. You have to connect the dots in your life going backwards. So, before he set up Apple Computers, he did an evening course at his local college in calligraphy. And at the time, he was just messing around in his garage on just building computers. And then when he set up Apple, he was the first person to use calligraphy on the first Apple computer. No one else had done it before. No one else had thought about it. and actually that completely makes sense for that. That he used those skills. Actors can do exactly the same thing. You mentioned about Tom Holland doing gymnastics and MT work, but also casting directors. If you look at the stuff that they are casting, that some of the previous work, IMDb Pro, the CDG website, or et cetera, or CSA in America. You can kind of see people's CVs, and you can kind of go, okay, that's the kind of stuff that you like to work on. That's the kind of stuff that you like to do, whether it's independent film, whether it's drama, whether it's soaps, whether it's et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you can kind of work backwards a little bit and kind of go, okay, you know what, this is where I'd like to position myself. I'm not saying that's completely set in stone, because obviously work is work, and casting directors will work across a wide range of projects. But of course, it comes down then to contacts and everything, and so yeah.
Yeah, so important to know who you are and where you're going. I know you've mentioned online that you've worked with American acting coach Anthony Mendel.
Oh yeah,
I
Tony. Yeah.
actually, yeah, I love him. He's coming on the show actually.
Oh great.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
but I go to his classes in London every week. Well, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
What is it? What do you like about the way he works? I know you do meditation. I know he's
Mm.
very into that and being in the present moment, which
Hmm.
obviously helps with acting.
By the way, who's your teacher there, Christian?
Maddie on
Maddie.
Saturdays.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We rep Maddie. I trained with Maddie at AMAW.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have
I'll
to
have to
say.
mention to her.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they're actually doing online classes. I didn't do the last month, but they're
Yes.
doing that, which is cool.
Oh, nice. Yeah, cool. So yes, it's about getting out of your head and into your
Mm.
body more, as you know. And it's I would always recommend AMAW work to anyone, because it's cheap therapy.
Yeah,
And it's
it
you
is.
know having worked with Tony, having worked with a wide range of AMAW teachers, it's that whole philosophy about trusting yourself, trusting your scene partner. We're all enough. We're all kind of coming to a degree into this industry with some kind of scarcity, some kind of feelings of not enough, or some kind of feelings of having to prove ourselves, or um, something like that. And actually, it doesn't actually matter. Nothing matters. Whether you're 18 or whether you're 80. If you've ever been to a traditional, in abbreviation marks, drama school, or if you haven't, it doesn't actually matter, because the only thing that matters is if the scene is truthful or not. Casting directors don't care where you trained. They don't care if you did 3 years at Central School of Speech and Drama, or you did 3 weeks in wherever, because actually, if your headshots scream the role and your show reel screams the role, that's it. You'll be called in. So it doesn't actually matter. But another reason why I like AMAW is because the sense of community. I go to AMAW, but also BGB in the US as well. Again, all online. But it's exactly the same. Just getting out of your head and just knowing that there are no wrong choices. There are stronger choices, but there are no wrong choices. And of course, as you know, Christian, from Tony's books, you know, um, this is the kind of underlying message all the way through.
Yeah, he's really incredible.
Yeah.
You mentioned, Danny, you was talking about going on IMDb Pro or the CDG website and things, or looking at people's CVs that you want to emulate, and there are so many aspects to a CV. Like we'll take a sort of traditional spotlight one, for example. So you've got your headshots, you've got your show reel or your voice reel, you've got your credits, you've got your skills, you've got so many different things, and you get told to do that. You get told to invest in all those areas, or maybe make a website, or any number of different things. What would you recommend actors invest in first? Because obviously, ideally, we'd all love to have enough money to do everything and
Yeah.
change your headshots and show reel every year. It'd be glorious, but we don't. What would you recommend people do first, or just a general approach in setting up your CV and setting in what you send out to agents or casting directors or whatever?
Yeah, that's a great question. Your headshot is your calling card. and it's the thing that's going to make casting directors remember you. And a lot of actors make the mistake of not putting enough importance on the headshot, because especially if a casting director doesn't know you. So, for example, okay, so if you email someone you don't know and your headshots aren't great, then they're less likely to kind of call you in. So when agents, I'm sure you know this, but when agents and managers, for example, submit on the link, underneath each name of the character, you'll have everyone's headshots. It could be 1,000, 1,500 headshots, however many headshots, and then you have the little box underneath that you write in. So your headshot is thumbnail size. Now, of course, a good casting director will go through submissions, but more often than not, time is tight. And then because time is tight, they'll go, I don't know this person, I don't know this agency. So who do I have a good relationship with? This person and this agency, because they're also on brief as well, you know. So, for example, there are certain colors that suit you, certain kind of things. So, in a really long answer to your question, I would say the thing to invest, if you're going to invest in anything, first of all, is good headshots.
Yeah.
We have had actors called in, and also actors that are not rep by us, because we do have a really, really good memory. So we have submitted actors that don't have a show reel, that have just had some really, really good headshots, and they've been seen by some really big casting director names. So yeah, that's what I would say. I would say headshots.
Yeah, but do you have any advice on you sort of mentioned, colors and things like that, about
Mm.
what would make a good headshot then, or because as you say, people look at 600 or whatever minimum, as you say, for
Mm.
submissions, and
Yeah.
because sometimes they say, make your headshot stand out, but then if you stand out too much, then you'll look weird, or do you know what I mean? There are these sort of worries that people have. What would you think is a good headshot from an agent's
I
perspective?
I think there are obviously, as you know, like hundreds of headshot photographers, um, but one guy that I work with a lot, and his organization is Robin Savage. I don't know if you've heard of Robin, but
I have.
Robin, on his website, I think it's robinsavage.co.uk, I think. But he has a whole kind of blurb on his website about colors that suit you, what to bring, what to wear, and not just Robin, but many others in his organization. I think he runs an organization with photographers. All of those people, they really care about actors getting the job genuinely. And of course there are many, many more. I'm not just saying his name because I recommend him, but I'm saying that there are a lot of other photographers as well. And it all kind of ekes into your brand. It all kind of ekes into who you are. We live in a visual medium. When we see someone in the street, we are unconsciously making decisions about this person, especially if we don't know them. And that's the thing. We see someone before they speak. So if we can kind of go, oh, you know what, this is a person that likes to wear their hair like this, and they like to wear these big earrings, or they like to, wear these big shirts, or something that's quintessentially you, and it's really on brand. I think the mistake a lot of actors make is being too vague, being too oh, I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this. And I'm not saying that you can't do that, but what I'm saying is you make it easy for casting directors to kind of go, oh my God, yes, this person, I can really see this person in this role. But of course, casting do look beyond that. But again, it comes back to time, and it comes back to, you know, one of your strongest brands, one of your strongest archetypes. And there
Yeah.
are, yeah, so.
No,
Yeah.
I agree with you on that front. I remember my agent speaking to me about, sort of trying to answer the question, what do you think you can do better than anyone else? And let's
Mm.
put that forward because, if you want, saying that, oh, I can do a good northern accent's great, but, they'll get someone from Yorkshire. Or, sometimes it might come up where you could get that role. That was a bad example. But, if you've got
Yeah.
a hobby that you're particularly talented at that no one else can do, you never know when that weird commercial for Rubik's Cubes might come up or, or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Are you into Rubik's Cubes, Matt? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely not. No, I'm
But
far
that's
too cool
fine.
for that.
I'm a child of the 80s. It's fine. I used to love Rubik's Cubes.
But do you know what I mean, though? Those
Yeah,
types
yeah,
of you mentioned it there about one of your strongest archetypes. Going doubling down on what can you do because being a
yeah.
jack of all trades is almost useless. I feel.
This is the thing, and this is what Bonnie. We'll talk about Bonnie Gillespie, and we have the conversation with her. Um, being a jack of all trades is a road to kind of not getting much. I'm not saying, as I said before, I'm not saying you can't do a lot of things, but I'm saying that actually it's much better, especially when you're not known to many casting offices, or you want to get in with some casting offices. Until casting directors know what you can do, it's really so much better to be much more specific. This is me. This is me. This is I'm brand. And of course, the whole branding kind of philosophy comes from America. They embraced it many years ago, and you know now it's just like, yeah, great. This person, boom, I can see this person do this or this. Yeah.
Hmm. I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts then on actors promoting on Instagram. I know I don't really do it much. I put my show reel up,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
spotlight link and things like that. But I know I've got some American friends that, like you say, they're
Mm.
always on it, posting work they're doing and shots of them behind the camera and things like that.
I don't. Yeah. I
Is
mean,
that too much or?
no. I think it's fine. I don't. Some of the most successful partners that we have are not on social media at all,
Hmm.
um, and they don't have a website. I know you mentioned having a website earlier on. I don't feel you need to do that. Um, as a business, we have to be on Instagram. My personal Instagram is also on Instagram. My personal Instagram is also on Instagram. That doesn't make sense. I am also personally on Instagram as Danny Steele, but it's I connect with people that way round. I kind of like Instagram. I like it, and like you guys, we post a lot of stuff as well. We do a lot of IG live conversations, a lot of kind of inspirational quotes. So I feel sometimes as an actor, sometimes you can get into a bit of a funk. So we use it as a kind of, oh, you know what, it's okay. If you want to stay in bed, if you're in a funk, or if you're doing really well, that's okay too. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to sort of finish today, sort of partly go back to what you said about Steve Jobs with the, you can only connect the dots when looking behind, when looking in the
Mm.
past. How has the past year and a bit, without going into depth about stuff we've heard too much about,
Mm.
how have these events changed the industry from an agent's perspective? And actually, we're looking for them. Have there been any positive changes? If so, what?
That's a great question, Matt. So when COVID first appeared, March last year, um, agencies, casting offices, pretty much everyone just shut down for. I mean, we were pretty dead for 6 weeks, maybe 7 weeks, and then things were happening again. Um, and the UK film industry, the UK advertising industry, and the television industry were very quick. I would say much quicker than the US, much quicker in terms of, you know what, let's find a way to make this work. And they were much faster than the government. I don't really want to get into politics here, but they were much faster with things like, okay, well, look, we need to have less crew, we need to have a COVID, at least one COVID person on set at all times, everyone tested every other day on set, etc., etc., etc. And that's been the case since last summer. Things are happening, productions are happening. Since last summer, we've had partners booked on some really, really big well-known productions and stuff coming up, and jobs are happening. Things are being cast. I think that I was reading yesterday. I think was it on Stage and Screen, or I think it was on Stage and Screen magazine about you have to take a COVID test and test negative, obviously. Oh no, you also have to quarantine for 10 days if you're working in film and TV. But we knew that anyway. If you come into this country as well, but we knew that anyway. So essentially, it hasn't really changed. Yeah, we've just been very busy as an agency, and I appreciate that some agents aren't as busy, and some agencies are busier. So yeah, it hasn't massively changed apart from those 6-7 weeks last year.
That's nice in a way that we get to, so many people are using this as a way to go, oh, what's changed, what's new, but there's some comfort in the familiar there.
Exactly. And as long as everyone knows that things will take a little bit longer, because if someone's booked on a job, oh great, well we need to get them a COVID test, and then they'll be tested every other day, then they're on set, and then they have to have and then insurance, and as I said, things are being made, and right now people want content, people want answers. People that are not actors want to make sense of what's going on. They want to make sense of if they've lost loved ones, or even if they haven't, everyone worldwide has been affected. And this is an opportunity to write something, to even if it's a short film, if it's a monologue, if it's a scene or something. And we, as artists, it's our job to make people feel. And when we go to the cinema, when they're opening, when we go to the theatre, this is what we do as these kind of audience. We're like, oh my God, I can feel this person. So this is something that affects everyone worldwide. So it's just an opportunity for people to kind of think about it in those terms, to kind of go, okay, great, how can I make this situation that, of course, it's been a complete, can I swear on this?
Go for it, let's go.
Of course, it's been a complete clusterfuck. But at the same time, it's like you have to make opportunities out of what you've got, and these are what people are doing right now.
I like that idea of making opportunities, and sometimes you might not feel up to it that day, and that's okay. But that attitude of going forward and making your work, and just going back to because when this all kicked off, the first thing that people did was turn to their TVs and to listen to music and to read a book and to watch a stream of a theatre show, whatever it may be. And I think that idea of making opportunities and moving on is a great way to close out this evening, Danny. So really, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our podcast.
We hope you enjoyed it and learned something.
We look forward to having you back in the room very, very soon.